Let's look at question number 33 of homework assignment number 1. Yeah. First, this question, we know x1 is not the minimum and x8 not equal to maximum. All right. Then we need to find any element in the array that is neither maximum nor minimum. Okay? All right. Yeah. And we look at other elements. Yeah. All right. So here, our goal, we can only use 2 comparisons. Yeah. 2 comparisons, we need to get that. Okay? You cannot use more than 2. Yeah. All right. So each comparison, we need to use carefully. Yeah. Yeah. When I did the grading, some students gave me 2 comparisons immediately. Okay? Yeah. A few students gave me 2 specific comparisons. Immediately. This way, not good. Okay? Yeah. Not good. Yeah. Yeah. Because you may miss something. You may miss something. Okay? Yeah. Although there are many different ways we can find a solution. Yeah. But the first 2 comparisons immediately, you may not be able to cover all the cases. So here, our goal, we want to cover all the cases. All the possibilities. Okay? So a better way is, the first comparison, you can write it easily, but the second comparison must be based on the result of the first one. Okay? Yeah. So here, the first one, because you can do, you have a lot of freedom to do the first one. The first one, no restriction. Okay? So no restriction for the first comparison. But second comparison is quite different. Yeah. The second comparison must rely on the outcome of the first comparison. Okay? Yeah. Based on the intermediate result of the first comparison. You may have several cases for the first comparison. So the different cases, you need to do comparisons differently. So that's the reason. So you cannot, before you know the intermediate result of the first comparison, you already give the second one. So that's the reason you couldn't do the best way. So in that way, you may missed a few cases. So the right way, we should do this. Yeah. So our first comparison. Comparison number one. Comparison number one. Yeah. So compare x1 and x2. Okay? Yeah. There are many ways. This is just one of the possible ways. Definitely you can do other ways. Yeah. Yeah. So you can try. There are different solutions. Yeah. So when we do comparison, we have two cases. The first one, x1 less than x2. Second one, x1 greater than x2. Yeah. The first case, we can have the conclusion. Yeah, the first one, because the minimum less than x1, less than x2. So x1 is a solution. Okay? Yeah. So one comparison, it's enough. Yeah. But the second one, more work. Yeah. Because we cannot get a solution, so we need to do more work. Okay? All right. So now our comparison number two. And in our comparison number two, we assume that x1 greater than x2. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't need a second comparison. Only for this case, we need a second comparison. Okay? All right. Yeah, so under this assumption, then we compare x2 and x8. Yeah. So there are two cases. x2 less than x8 and x2 greater than x8. Two possibilities. Yeah. And we know x8 is not a maximum, right? Yeah. So the first case, we can see x2 is less than x8 and x8 less than the max, right? Yeah. Given, condition given. So in this case, a solution. All right. Yeah. So x8 is the solution. Right? Yeah. Otherwise, if x2 greater than x8, then remember we have the assumption. So we look at x2. x2 is greater than x8 and x2 also less than x1. So you can see x2 in this case is a solution. Yeah. And we cover all the cases. We cover all the cases. Okay? All right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is just one of the solutions. You can have other different ways to get a solution. Yeah. For example, there is a way you do not need to touch x1. Yeah. So there is a possibility so your first comparison, you compare x2 and x3 based on which one greater, which one smaller, then you determine the second comparison. You can also find a solution. So even if you do not touch x1, so you don't need information that x1 is not a minimum. You can still find a solution. Yeah. So that one, yeah, another possibility. Yeah. So here, let's just use this simple version of the solution. All right, so we finish this question.